This is the strangest plane you have ever seen. Today we are going to test 19 crazy builds to see if they can even survive our challenges. Does a weirder plane mean it breaks faster? Let's find out. Our marathon kicks off with a German training glider made of just 83 blocks. The dummy is literally sitting on an open frame, surrounded by nothing but wooden slats and a massive cable for acceleration. The creator claims that no matter how hard it dives, the wings are practically indestructible. Well, we are going to test that right now. It speeds up pretty easily and stays surprisingly stable. But up next, we have a standard landing scheduled, or rather a test to see what's left of it after touchdown. Let's try to land it. It turned out to be super agile and incredibly tough, so this build definitely passes the vibe check. Our second aircraft is made entirely of wood. Visually, it's smaller than the previous one, but it was built without a single skin mod. Right on our runway, there is an obstacle, a heavy truck. Our goal is to approach for a landing and, at the very last moment, fly over the truck to touch down directly on the asphalt. Due to the high speed, the plane's landing gear slightly clips the truck. However, the construction remained intact, so the second aircraft also successfully passed our durability test. Now, let's move on to the more advanced snow glider. Its main feature is its huge, thin wings. It looks like a modern, high-tech glider, though the cockpit is completely simple. Our goal is to try and guide it through these two obstacles. The catch is that it has no engine, so we rely entirely on gliding and steering. It cleared the first obstacle, now onto the second one. In the end, the wings couldn't handle the load and broke off, but the main body itself proved to be quite tough. This is our fourth aircraft, and the level of madness is starting to rise. The creators took the wings and the powerful engine from the legendary Corsair fighter, but installed the motor backwards. Our plane was cruising smoothly, but suddenly the engine starts acting up, and we need an emergency landing in a forest clearing. Can the main body handle this much pressure? Let's find out. Ultimately, upon contacting the ground, the entire structure completely falls apart. This is the first plane to fail our durability test. And this is a regular passenger car, but instead of driving on roads, the creator welded huge wings and a propeller to it. It looks pretty cool, though the interior lacks detail. We are sending this hybrid vehicle into the city area. Our task is to land this build right onto a narrow car road. The car handled the approach quite well, but at the very last moment, it lost its balance and flipped over, so this hybrid failed the test. Now the builds are getting much more serious. This one looks like an upgraded version of our second plane. Look at this attention to detail. Perfect body lines, a custom blue engine cover, and well-crafted landing gear. We are going to test it in the harshest conditions. Our goal is to make a high-speed landing approach. Will it manage to brake in time, or will the lightweight frame fail under the pressure? The speed was way too high. It made a decent touchdown, but ultimately went over the side into the water. However, the main body itself proved to be quite tough. We have our first true heavyweight here, built with 500 blocks. Look at this flying behemoth. Giant angular wings, 4 independent engines. According to our scenario, we have a simulated fire on the right wing, which causes the plane to bank heavily to the side. To make things harder, there is an obstacle waiting for us on the runway ahead, an aircraft left behind by someone. We need to clear the obstacle and make an emergency touchdown. The plane made a magnificent landing and remained completely intact, so it successfully passed the test. Next up is the most high-tech plane compared to the previous ones. It's a heavy assault tiltrotor with jet engines. It looks incredibly similar to the famous Osprey. We are going to test this thing in a critical situation. We'll try to take off, push it to maximum speed, and make an emergency landing. We nailed the first task. The takeoff was excellent. Look at the high speed it's gaining. It feels like it's completely unstoppable. However, during the touchdown, the build ultimately couldn't handle the peak pressure. Here we are, officially breaking the 1,000 block limit. Look at this massive armored body, the turrets, and a fully functional captain's bridge with a steering wheel. Right in the middle of the flight, a critical engine failure occurred with a heavy smoke effect. Our goal is to try and land this damaged battleship on the water while maintaining the view from the captain's cabin. It handled the task perfectly, and due to its massive buoyancy, the main body was pushed back to the surface, so this giant successfully passed the test. And here's the next plane, which for some reason looks bigger in the screenshot. But look at its long, thin wings and the landing gear located right in the center of the main body. At a high altitude, one of the wings gets heavily damaged according to our scenario. It turns out to be the right side, and we have very little time to land this plane. It manages to reach the runway, but overshoots the touchdown zone. This time it failed to pass the test. Now we have a battle of two worlds. The first plane is a replica from the anime Nausicaa, and the second one is a real-world pride, a Boeing. The conditions for both are extreme. A landing approach at maximum speed with the braking system completely locked up. Let's start with the first plane. The anime-inspired build couldn't handle the pressure upon touchdown. Now it's time for the Boeing, and it looks very steady on approach. By the way, you can test aviation durability for yourself in War Thunder. It's a massive action game with realistic damage physics, where hundreds of planes, tanks, and ships clash on huge maps. Click the link in the description to grab your bonus: 3 days of premium and a choice vehicle. The Boeing showed a bit more strength, but in the end, its body also failed under the peak load, so both planes fail this test. Now we are moving on to more unique planes. Look at this predatory, aggressive design and the simple cockpit with a neon blue glows. But what happens if we force it to make an emergency landing on a short runway? Especially since right at the end of the landing zone, we have parked a massive Boeing. Our goal is to approach at maximum speed and try to come to a complete stop before making contact with this obstacle. Ultimately, we fail to maintain the stopping distance, and this plane completes its test at full speed directly against the main body of the Boeing. Before you is the Arsenal bird, recreated from the iconic game Ace Combat 7. Just look at how much bigger it is compared to one of our first aircraft. It is a massive, wide wall of blocks featuring a whole cascade of propellers all along the wing. The part count is absolutely through the roof. Our task is to perform a low-altitude flyby right over the rooftops and test its maneuverability in tight spaces. Meet the Marlin, one of the most high-tech and maneuverable fighters in the workshop. It features great attention to detail and an awesome look. The creator mentions that landing it is an absolute nightmare. It has an extreme landing speed and requires pinpoint precision. I tried to take off with it, but the model's physics are such that any harsh contact with the ground instantly breaks the plane apart. Our challenge is to perform a high-speed touchdown onto the runway from the lowest possible altitude. Feels like completing this test was almost impossible. Meet the Kingfisher, a highly complex Coast Guard tiltrotor. It combines the speed of an airplane with the hovering stability of a helicopter, and it even features a working rescue winch on its right wing. Our task is to fly over to the mountain and try to land it on the rough terrain. That first attempt went completely sideways, so let's go for a second try. This time I handled it much better, the stabilization system worked well, and the aircraft itself proved to be quite durable. We are moving on to the final aircraft. Meet the Stealth Reconnaissance Drone. It features a futuristic closed wing in the shape of a hollow diamond with a jet engine mounted right in the center. We are going to test it with a landing approach on the runway ahead of us. Surprisingly, it remained completely intact after touchdown. The penultimate aircraft is a giant flying wing built without a single engine mod. The creator installed 2 highly complex piston motors here. Let's see how it handles a landing on a standard runway. It turned out to be quite durable, but let's see how the airframe behaves under peak stress and a hard impact. Wow, this block-by-block disassembly detail is absolutely incredible. And the final plane of our video. Look at the size of it. It's just gigantic. There are 8 cannon turrets mounted on board. Let's just enjoy this spectacular final strength test. And if you enjoyed this video, you can check out more interesting durability tests in the next video.